Shadow Temple for game number 1.
Yippee.
As Hwangsin is going to be the red Protoss here in the bottom left, representing team It's Gosu. And who do we have in the top right?
It is Payam Toyam, as cats would say. It is the MTW TT1. He's smashing face, smashing nerds. He's looking so good these days. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at the builds. I've been playing a lot of PvP lately, like a ton of PvP.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with PvP. In fact, Gretorp's so up in arms about this build that he has everyone except Rotterdam practicing this build.
Dude, well...
And after like 150 games...
I'm going to play Rotterdam. I'm probably going to 3-0 him or something, man. That build is...
You know who also 3-0'd Rotterdam? Actually, he technically 4-0'd
him. Yeah.
TT1.
TT1.
TT1 has been... He's been thinking about some of these builds, and I'm just really curious as to see how things end up coming out, but... Nonetheless, it's PvP, Shadow Temple. Now, Shadow Temple has seen a lot of changes. Back when it was Lost Temple, things like Korean 4 gates and cannon rushing used to be very prevalent on this map, but we've seen a lot of changes. And how do you think PvP will play out on Shadow nowadays?
I think it'll play towards the macro game. I mean, it is force cross position, and they have that little ramp, so it makes it a lot easier to play the defensive game. I don't think any 4 gates will be too strong on this map, unless someone tries to do a super risky tech build, but I think that's not really within each other's range. Hwangsin doesn't really do that as much anymore, and TT1 definitely loves his macro game, so I would suspect we go into a longer game, at least 2-base game. I do want to say that Hwangsin does like this one build that is a 1-base, I think 4-gate or 3-gate robo. And he goes for Warp Prism play and tries to bust his opponent's
yeah, he proxies a robo, yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that. Well, sometimes he proxies, sometimes he doesn't. I've seen different styles of him. So I'm interested to see what he does this time around. Ooh.
Well, he scouts and sees 1 gas. Ooh, a second gateway, so TT1 will go for 3 Stalker.
Simulator steal
Actually,
as well.
no, just kidding. He's got a first Zealot as one of his units. But by the way the buildings look, it looks like a 2-gate here. Now, Hwangsin does go for a gas steal, trying to limit TT1's options, and gas steals actually are pretty devastating in PvP.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Is he actually doing it? He might be doing it. I'm sorry. Here's the thing, though. The gas steal, yeah, it does limit a lot of stuff, but now it actually brings up something that is pretty hard to stop, which is a fast expansion. Your opponent, TT1 at this point, can go for a fast expansion and fake 4-gate. And if you build too many sentries at that point, you could be in a terrible position. And oh my god, I think Hwangsin's doing... Oh, no.
No, he's not. He's getting Warp Gate, too.
Well, I get Warp Gate now.
Oh, do you? Okay. And the Gretorp build for a long time, he was like, well, I'm not going to get Warp Gate.
Dude, like, I started hitting like 1100, 1200 Masters with this build. And it's like, oh, funny. I guess I need Warp Gate. So I finally started to say, yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Yeah, I see it.
All right. Well, what do you see? You see a proxy robo, and we were talking earlier about
what else is he making?
And he is making another gateway. So he's hiding this 3rd gateway. He might even hide a 4th gateway.
Yeah, he probably will.
Yeah.
There's no use at going just 3-gateway robo, in my opinion. I mean, 3-gateway robo is super defensive, but if you're going to proxy it all the way over here, you have to be going 4-gate, just because it's like, why would you do just this, this aggression that could be a lot heavier and obviously have all your buildings way out of position.
This is going to be tough though, because the idea of 4-gate robo with Warp Prism is to avoid sentries basically, and you can really drop and mess up the AI there. You can see Hwangsin scouts the pylon as well, and his robo is pretty late. He's going to warp in a couple Stalkers here to try to see if he can prevent the high ground from ever really coming on, but we see that TT1 is getting his Warp Prism out, and his 4 gates have finished, so the rush will commence soon if TT1 can get a hold of the pylon here.
Nice shot by Hwangsin, taking out this 1 pylon in the bottom position. Those Zealots will be able to warp in time before the pylon actually dies, but this should be a pretty big tell. He sees so many Zealots actually warping in here. 4 Zealots actually. He knows for sure that his opponent has 4 Zealots, so what do you usually have 4 Zealots for? Where's your gas going?
Well,
it might not necessarily be the robo. Don't get me wrong; it could be a lot of different things. But
yeah.
he should realize, okay, my opponent isn't going Blink Stalkers. What are you doing with your investment?
Yeah, there's got to be something, even if whether or not it's DTs or something suspicious. But he does force field, and he does get also into the top of the ramp. Now Hwangsin needs to keep that ramp force fielded as well, otherwise he's gonna get flanked. But for now, he has enough Stalkers really to deal with this. TT1 running for now, and he's trying to see if he can get a more favorable position. The big thing to this rush is this Warp Prism. If it somehow drops, TT1's going to be in a lot of trouble. But for now, he's still in the base, ready to still do a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and he's going back and forth. I like this. Force fields are going to go down, but a couple of sentries, or excuse me, a Stalker is going to go down here. Now, Zealots are so important because it really reduces the amount of damage that Immortal does. The Immortal needs to target down on the Stalkers, but he's focusing it down right now. The Warp Prism is actually going to go into the phasing mode and warp another round of units. This is so helpful. Hwangsin is not targeting it down. Wow. And oh my goodness, Hwangsin, he's losing control of this game.
Yeah, his Zealots from TT1 are too high in number. And there it is, GG. TT1 takes game number 1 on the Shattered Temple. And after a very convincing fashion, I think Hwangsin, he looked good in terms of defending it initially, and then just fell apart all at once.
It is important to note that the robotics bay was down. Another big thing is he let the front go through. You don't want to be attacking, or you don't want to be attacked by two sides. So relegate, like, you know, just one constant sentry force field to be over there. Make sure that your opponent can't go on one side and clear out that that warp prism. Make sure it's gone. Send probes. I don't care. Just get rid of it first and then handle that front. But with him just letting those Zealots come in and force the units back, TT1 was able to mass more units out there with his warping, or his phase. Oh my gosh. It's super hot in here. I'm sorry. With his warp prism in phase mode, and was able to just outdo his opponent with great positioning and a nice sandwich.
So TT1 takes game number 1 on the Shattered Temple. We'll find out if Hwangsin can come back, as Andre is rooting for him. Thank you to iBuyPower, the PC company responsible for powering a lot of NASL broadcasts with their pre-assembled PCs. Go to iBuyPower.com. We'll be back with game number 2 on whatever map that Payam Toyam. Actually, no, Hwangsin chooses. Just kidding. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere, guys. Division 1 is still going here at NASL Season 3.